What's up, guys? JP back at you once again, bring you guys day number 20 in my 13th annual 31 Days of Horror, a series in which we watch and review 31 horror films in 31 days, all during the month of October, leading right up to Halloween. And for today's review, I decided to go with another 2024 movie, and that is Terrifier 3. Which I saw in the theater, which is just a cool as hell thing that we can go see movies like this in the theater. It seems like the stigma of needing to be approved R rating by the MPAA has kind of been forgotten a little bit, or at least ignored a little bit. We know that the history of the MPAA has always been like a pain in the neck for horror. I remember back when Hatchet 2 was coming out, Adam Green decided to release it unrated, and it played like one day and then they pulled it. And so it's cool now that we could see stuff like Terrifier out there and not have to abide by the MPAA like we used to, which is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But anyway, so Terrifier 3, this movie picks up after Terrifier 2. It actually has a cold open, which is really good. Like, really, really good. Basically, it's sort of like the night before Christmas type thing. And there's a little girl sleeping, and she hears footsteps on the roof and thinks it's a deer. But no, it is Art the clown. And basically Art comes in and attacks a family on Christmas, which is just brutal, dark, and insane. Then we go and flash forward a couple of, a couple weeks earlier, and then we flash forward like years later. But basically we're following the same character from the previous film, who looks a lot like Anya Taylor-Joy to me, which is funny because Carly ended up looking her up or something when I said that when the last Terrifier came out. And apparently she worked as Anya Taylor-Joy's stunt double at one point, so that kind of makes sense. So our lead here, Sienna, is basically coming out of a mental hospital, goes to visit her aunt. Her aunt has a daughter who is like a little sister to her, who really is like, looks up to Sienna, and she's trying to cope with the fact that, Art the clown is a pretty scary dude and like messed up her life. And then we have her brother who's in college as well. Was it Steven or Jonathan? Jonathan. And then Art the clown comes out of, I guess, like remission and begins murdering people, but this time on Christmas, which is just absolutely like chef's kiss for the franchise, because Christmas and horror just go so well together for me. But there's scenes in the movie that are very awesome. So right away, one of the things that we get is Art the clown visiting a bar with a Clint Howard part, as well as a guy dressed as Santa, and Art the Clown is just like, this is like, if anybody wants to know like what is appealing about Art the Clown, just watch that scene from the beginning to end, because that is what is so fun about the character. So he's outside a window, and he's like, sees inside that there's somebody dressed as Santa. He's like all looking through like this, and then he's like gets all excited, and then he goes in and he's like, can't believe it's really Santa, and then like, it's just, the whole scene playing out from start to finish is just fantastic. It's phenomenal. Like, that is what is so fun about this character. The mime aspects where, Art the Clown doesn't talk, but the reactions with like his face and the emotes are just so perfect, man. That's what is always so fun and funny about this character, is he just, and the look of him, and it works so good. And that whole scene is amazing. There's another great scene at a mall involving like the Santa, the mall Santa, you know what I mean, and Art the Clown, which is pretty good. Then there's like probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie that is just like a more like comedic aspect, is there's also this girl who's like a true crime podcaster, of course, and she is very interested in the case because it's like their most like popular topic, and she ends up going to school with Jonathan, and tries to convince him to come on the show or whatever. But there's a scene where she's talking about Art the Clown, and Art the Clown is in the area, and she's like, the most prolific serial killer since not the New York Ripper, the fucking the Jack the Ripper, and Art the Clown's like, come on, no, I'm not that good. It's just it's like so funny, man. And then another scene that, and I'm not gonna spoil like everything or anything really. I'm just talking about like key moments that I like, but it doesn't really give away anything. And then there's a really good scene in a bathroom that I loved. So that's some of the amazing scenes. There's also one in like an abandoned house that is really great. Like there's just so many, like I could totally see like coming up with like the concept of Terrifier on Christmas, and be like, oh, what's popular? Oh, Mall Santa. Like, we gotta have a Mall Santa scene, a scene where Art the Clown is like, coming into the house and like, leaving presents type scene, like, just stuff like that is really cool. And yeah, what I'm surprised we didn't get was like anything with like at least I can't remember anything with like stockings. Maybe that would be for Terrifier 4. But yeah, man, this movie is like a lot of fun, and if like while watching it I was like, okay, not as good as part 2, but pretty good. But then after thinking about it, I think it's like as good if not better than part 2. Which I loved, and I love both. I love part 2 more than like part 1. I wasn't like super into, but maybe going back and watching it again now, I might be more into it. But one thing I will say, the movies have looked better each time. Like Damien Leone is getting very good as a filmmaker, like just technique and camera work and making it look good. Yeah, he's getting good. So I would love to see. I love, as much as I love Terrifier, and I'm like happy we can get one of them every couple years. And I'll literally watch Art the Clown a million times because he's just so entertaining. The story, I think most people's problem excuse me, with these movies is the story. Like, it's just like kind of paper thin a little bit, but I think it's fine. You know, it's a slasher film. It doesn't have to have a crazy story. And they're slowly adding mythos to the character and stuff. And although a little generic, like, I'm fine with it. You know, it is what it is. It adds something, which is, you know, good. But I would love to see Leone do, like, tackle other projects too, because I think this guy's going to be a good director. Well, I mean, he already is a good director, but I think he could do a lot of cool shit, you know, like, especially if he gets some money for stuff. I would love to see him make, like, more movies, you know. I think this guy is got something. I think he's, like, you know, has he only done the Terrifier stuff? Like, I haven't really looked into any of his other films or anything, but if he's only done the Terrifier stuff, like literally people in Hollywood need to be like, yo, you gotta direct, like, you gotta come make a movie for us, because, like, especially with the success of Terrifier lately, you know, it's becoming a very popular, iconic character, which is just crazy to me, because back on the podcast, like, literally in, like, 2014, after All Hallows Eve came out, it might have been in 2013, it might have been, like, our or it might have been early 2014, our first top 10 show we ever did. I remember All Hallows Eve made Jeremy's list, and he kept telling me that Art the Clown was going to be the next icon, and I was like, dude, there ain't no way, bro. Like, nobody had even seen this All Hallows Eve movie. Like, there ain't even, no way. I'm, like, still blown away that he called that, because I could never, although I eventually saw the character and could see where it could be iconic, I just never, ever, ever in a million years would have thought that somebody would have took a chance on that character and put him in front of enough people to, you know, to succeed like that. It's nuts, you know. I just did not expect it at all. So props to Jeremy for, like, calling that one out big time. But anyway, that is Terrifier 3. With that said, I give it an 8.5 out of 10. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Peace.